Good evening, everyone. We begin the readout tonight with history in the making.
On this vote, the yeas are 53, the nays are 47, and this nomination is confirmed.
Now, there are days that this job is almost all about horror. Threats to our democracy at home, a vicious war abroad, a deadly pandemic. And there are times when this job is just a pure opportunity to get to express the collective joy that so many of us feel, but only a lucky few of us get to articulate on the TV. Well, today was one of those days, a day of joy, a day of victory, and not just for Black women and for Black history, but for America. Today, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson took a very important step toward becoming Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, and the first Black woman in our history to hold that post. What a day. And as we were all watching that historic moment in the Senate, Judge Jackson was watching alongside the man who promised that if elected, he would put the first Black woman on the highest court in the land. And today, President Biden's promise was kept. In the end, only 3 Republicans, Senators Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitt Romney, could see beyond their party's neo-Dixiecrat ways to join Senate Democrats in confirming Judge Jackson. But their votes mattered, really because of that. And by voting aye, they get to join in heralding this moment with the image of Senator Romney, who ceded an election to our first Black president, Barack Obama, standing alone on the Republican side, and Senator Murkowski standing with the Democrats, both in applause, resounding and responding to this historic moment. Today was an event celebrated all across this country, as the women of the Congressional Black Caucus, shown here, display Black women are supreme. And the Washington Post, as the Washington Post points out, Judge Jackson's nomination also highlighted the relative rarity of Black women in the legal profession. Only 4.7% of U.S. lawmakers are Black. And just 70 Black women, 70, have ever served as a federal judge, representing fewer than 2% of all such judges. So the fact that a Black woman will hold the title of Associate Justice of the Supreme Court will be a North Star for millions of Black women and girls. That not only will their voices be represented, but that there is no limit to their ambitions or their success. Here is how one of Judge Jackson's closest friends described the significance of today.
It gives greater legitimacy to the court because we know that there's someone there who's actually walked in our shoes. Although we're very grateful for the diversity that's on the court now, there has never been the voice of a Black woman on that court. It means that if she could do it, we can do it, and our daughters can do it.
Joining me now is Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News Washington correspondent and anchor and moderator of Washington Week on PBS. Kimberly Atkins-Stohr, columnist for the Boston Globe and co-host of the Sisters-in-Law podcast. And Jamie Harrison, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Thank you all for being here. This is a magical day. And I'm going to just go right down the middle to you, Kimberly, because, you know, that statistic of only, 70 Black women ever sitting on the federal bench, only like 4% of, lawyers being Black women. It's such a rarity. It's hard to imagine it because we both know a lot of lawyers who are Black women. And so it's kind of hard to get your mind around it. And I wonder for you as a Black woman lawyer, what did today mean to you?
It means so much, Joy. I mean, growing up, I didn't have a figure like Ketanji Brown Jackson to look up to when my mother said to me when I was a child, you should be a lawyer because you're good at arguing. I just had to go on my mom's word and say, yeah, that's a good idea. But it is a real thing in many professions, but certainly in the legal profession. I was in a class of 400 students in law school, and there were 5 of us, 5 Black women, 7 Black students entirely in a class of 400. So that's 1% of that class. Just over 1% was Black women. It is scarcity. I practiced law in Boston and rarely came across another lawyer who looked like me. So yes, we know a lot of lawyers, and many of them are Black women because of the position we hold now, but that is a rarity. So it is so important for not just, we talk a lot about the little Black girls who are looking up to Ketanji Brown Jackson, and that's really important, but the law students right now who are sitting in the same space, who are persevering in her words, trying to get through, to have that image, to understand that that representation is real, is such a monumentous moment. It really is an important day.
Yeah, a big deal for all of our daughters as well. Let me play Vice President Harris, her reaction, because she is a first as well. I mean, this is our first Black. It was something for me to see the first Black woman vice president call and vote for the first Black woman to be on the Supreme Court. Here she is.
Let us all, I think, rejoice in who we are as a nation, that we achieved, long overdue, but we achieved this important milestone. I think it makes a very important statement about who we aspire to be, who we are, who we believe ourselves to be. It's a statement about that on our highest court in the land, we want to make sure that there's going to be full representation and the finest and brightest and the best. And that's what happened today. I'm very proud.
Yamiche, my friend, it's going to be so great for me this Halloween to see how many little girls dress up as Ketanji, as Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, and how many dress up as Vice President Harris, because last year there was a lot of Vice President Harrises. I mean, it's real. This is like a real thing. But you had a chance to talk to her girlfriends. I'm lucky enough to have known these young ladies. These are some outstanding people. I was saying to you in the break, these are some of the smartest people I ever met. They were at Harvard University undergrad. You spoke with Nina Simmons, who's one of them. Talk about what the friends had to say.
It was this joy that you saw the vice president have, that you saw these senators have. Her friends were just jubilant. One of them literally squealed on the call with me. I talked to Nina Simmons, Antoinette Coakley, Kimberly Robinson, who was who you played earlier, as well as a number of other women. And what they really told me was that she was a star, that Judge Jackson was a star, but also that she was supported by a group of Black women, both at Harvard undergrad and at Harvard Law. And by the way, these four friends, they actually traveled together. They not only got into Harvard together, they got into Harvard Law together, which tells you these group of women. But I want to play Nina Simmons, because she was someone who was just talking about how proud she is, but also what she had to endure, Judge Jackson, to get here.
Yeah, here she is.
And I'm just so proud of her as a Black woman. During the hearings, just watching her, I felt her pain, and I think many people have reached out to me to express the same thing, to see what she went through, to see that she was strong, that she persevered. It really speaks not only to Black women, but women everywhere. Anyone that's felt out of place or not welcome in an arena where they are the minority.
That was Nina. And Antoinette Coakley, another one of her friends, said that she predicted that she was going to be the first Black woman on the Supreme Court, Antoinette did, of Judge Jackson, because she was so brilliant, because she did stand out, because she was a consensus builder. And they did say that she was someone who was vocal about the idea that she wanted to connect with people who didn't agree with her all the time. She had these study sessions in her dorm room where she would gather people and they would talk about the law. So that also tells you, when she gets on the Supreme Court, that she's used to talking to people who may not agree with her, and that she's, of course, going to bring her lived experience as a Black woman. 233 years it took for her to break that double pane glass ceiling of being Black and being a woman.
It is amazing. I'm gonna let a brother speak. Go ahead, Jay. I'm gonna bring you in, Jamie. You're the one representing the brothers here today. I mean, the thing about it is, I wanted you to be here because this is also a political win for the president of the United States. Let's just be clear. He made some promises. There were a lot of Black women, prominent Black women, who went real tough on him and said, you need to pick a Black woman vice president. He did. He picked Kamala Harris. And he made a promise saying, I'm going to pick a Black woman for the Supreme Court. He did. What's the significance of this in your view politically, especially in a tough election, a tough midterm year?
Well, Joy, you and I were both there when President Biden, then Vice President Biden, made that promise in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yep.
After conversations with Marsha Fudge and Jim Clyburn and Cedric Richmond and Benny Thompson. And he made that pledge on the debate stage. But I can tell you on a personal level how much my heart filled with joy. You know, I'm married to a Black woman who is a lawyer. She's a law professor at the University of South Carolina. And it was emotional for us. You know, my wife went to Harvard undergrad and Yale Law School, and I've seen firsthand the challenges of a Black woman in the legal profession, how, you know, the bar is raised so high. And to see this happen today, I can tell you it was emotional for my wife. It was emotional for me as well. And so I want to just say congratulations, Judge Jackson. We are all so proud of you. And, you know, the politics behind us, Joy, is that this is a big deal. It was a promise made and is a promise kept by Joe Biden. And, you know, this is something that we should all be proud of and we all should celebrate, because for the first time in 200 years, this court has heard cases from Plessy versus Ferguson, Shelby County, Brown versus Board, all impacting Black women, but never having a Black woman sitting on the court to provide her perspective. And now that's going to change. They called her everything but a child of God, Joy.
They did.
But now they're going to call her justice.